Hello dear students, this is Mr. Hussein Ghabris, your technology teacher. Today we are going to talk about Unit 9, Microsoft Access. We are going to explain the basics of using Microsoft Access to create a database. Let's start. In today's objective, we are going to cover what is Microsoft Access, understand databases and database terminology, start access, open a database and open an object, navigate a data sheet, edit a record and undo change, select records and fields and delete a record. We also are going to know how to use copy, cut and paste data, change the appearance of a data sheet, preview and print a table, close an object and exit access. What is Microsoft Access? Microsoft Access, also known as a Microsoft Office Access, is a database management system or DBMS from Microsoft that combines a relational Microsoft Jet database engine with a graphical user interface, a software development tool. It helps us to manage data stored in a computer database. A database is a tool for collecting and organizing information. Database can store information about people, products, orders, or anything else. So if I have a school, I want to make a database for a school, I have to use Microsoft Access to create a student information, let's say, salaries, etc., etc.
Databases are all around you. Have you ever waited at the doctor's office while the receptionist punched in your information? Or asked a store employee to check their system for a special item? Then you've seen a database in action. The truth is, they're so useful you see them all the time. With Microsoft Access, you can manage your own database to suit the needs of your business or maybe the company you work for.
But what exactly is a database?
Well, it's a collection of information or data that's stored on a computer, allowing you to enter, access, and analyze it in a way you never could on paper. Let's think about that. Before computers, what sort of paper records do you think the doctor's office kept on file? Certainly a list of patients and their contact information, also their medical history and a list of past appointments. That's how databases work, from the simplest to the most complex. They're basically a collection of lists, not on paper but on your computer, where programs like Access make it possible to organize your data, make it searchable, and so much more. Let's take a look. Say you're a hardworking amateur baker. You might decide to keep a database of all the cookies you know how to make and the people you make them for, your friends and family. A simple database because it only contains 2 lists. If you were a professional baker, your database would contain more. You'd have products and customers, and other things to keep track of like prices, sales units, and a list of orders.
Does Access actually keep these things in a big long list?
Not quite. Instead, it uses tables, like the ones in Excel, to list things in a little more detail. Take this example from the amateur baker's database. It lists friends and family, but also important information like who has a nut allergy and the rest of the table. So, if a database is essentially a collection of lists stored in tables, and you can build tables in Excel, why Access? Why do you need a database at all? Let's compare. While Excel is great at storing and organizing numbers, Access is better at analyzing and connecting other types of data. For example, names and descriptions, or your friends and their favorite cookies. The databases you'll be working with in Access can actually understand how different lists and their contents relate to one another. We call this a relational database for its ability to understand relationships, and it's really what sets Access apart. Let's think about what that means while we go back to our amateur baker's database and build a third list to keep track of batches of cookies and who they're for. It's easy to see the relationship here. All I did was pull Dwayne from this list and shortbread from here. Access can see and use that relationship too, but Excel can't. All of these things are completely unrelated as far as Excel is concerned. That means you wouldn't be able to pull from one list to another. Eventually, you'd find yourself typing the same thing over and over every time you needed to refer to Dwayne or your shortbread recipe or Dad and chocolate chip. In short, Access thinks more like you. It recognizes that the items in these 3 lists are connected. That makes entering, searching, and analyzing data so much easier, whether you have 2 lists or 20. Less to type, less to keep track of. Even the most complicated tasks can be made simple and user-friendly once you understand how Access and databases work.
Vocabulary are the main words that you will see all the time when using Microsoft Access. These are keywords: best fit, compacting, database, database management system, DBMS, datasheet, datasheet selector, datasheet view, field, field name, field selector, field value, navigation pane, primary key, record, or record selector. We are going to talk about this later on. Access is a database management system, DBMS, as we said before, which allow you to store, retrieve, analyze, and print information. A DBMS does not have to be computerized. It can be simple file folders. However, a computerized DBMS is faster, more flexible, and more accurate than a manual system because you are using a computer. Now let's talk about general basics that you are going to use to start Access. I believe all of you should know how to start a program, but anyway, I'm going to tell you how to do that. Click the Start button on the taskbar, click All Programs on Start menu, click the Microsoft Office folder, click Microsoft Office Access. After a few seconds, Access starts and open Backstage View, or you can simply just search for it next to the window on the taskbar on your desktop. Just type Access and click on it, and the program will start up. Now, how to start a new tab in Access Backstage View. Whenever the Access starts up, you're gonna see this menu in front of you, or this window. This icon over here or button is the option for creating a new blank database. Most of the time we are going to use this one. Here is the search for a template online. All of these are called templates. And here is the list of recent open databases might appear over here if you opened the database before. And here is the option for opening an existing database. So this is the Backstage View. Continuing with this, when you start Access, the first screen that appears is the Backstage View, as I told you before, which contains commands that allow you to manage Access files and options. The recent screen in Backstage View provides option for you to create a new database or open an existing database. As I told you before, to create a new database that does not contain any data or objects, you use blank desktop database option. Use a template, a pre-designed database that includes professionally designed tables, reports, and other database objects if the database contains objects that match those found in common databases, such as databases that store data about contacts or tasks. I'm going to do this in a summary video at the end of the lesson. Let's continue with the Access window overview. This is the first window that you're going to see after choosing blank data sheet. I'm going to go through them briefly, so pay attention. This one over here is called the Quick Access Toolbar. It has the save, undo, and redo. This one is called the Shutter Bar. Opening close button allows you to close and open the navigation pane. This one is the navigation pane. List all the object tables, reports, and so on in the database. Here you're gonna find the datasheet view, shows the tables content as a datasheet. This is the table number 1, and here you can see also the table number 1. This is the data sheet for the table number 1. By default, Access create the ID field as the primary key field for all the new tables. Everything should have a primary key, which is a unique key. You can't find it, you can't find duplicate of this key. It's like your ID. Here You add and delete group contains option for adding different types of fields, including short text and number to a table. This one, you can see click to add. The click to add column provide another way for you to add new fields to a table. This tab over here, it's the field tab, provide options for adding, removing, and formatting the field in a table. Here you have the access window, title bar, and the status bar. Let's continue in creating a database overview. Here you can see the Create tab provide option for creating various database objects, including tables, form, reports. The option appear on the tab grouped by object type. So this one over here. You use the option in the table group to create a table in datasheet view or in design view. This one here, this group. The queries group. The queries group contains option for creating a query, which is a question you ask about the data stored in the database. In response to a query, access display the specific record and fields that answered your question. This is the query wizard button. This group called forms. It has the form tool, form wizard. This group for reports. It has a report tool, report wizard. And if you need any help, you can just click on the question mark over here to get the help from Access, which is built in Access. Opening a database is a collection of objects. The objects work together to store, retrieve, display, and summarize data. The object types are tables, queries, forms, reports, macros, and modules. This table describes each type of database object and shows the icon used to identify the object in the navigation pane. So this is the table icon, query, form, report, macros, modules. And here you can find the description of each one. Continuing in the database, a record is a complete set of data. Each record is made up of one or more fields. Each field has a field name. The data in the field is the field value. In the datasheet view, the table displays the data in rows and columns in the datasheet. If you notice, I make these bold. These are very important keywords. Here is an example of records and field in a table. If you notice over here, it's called field name. Can you see the arrow? It goes for state. So all these titles on the top, like member ID, last name, first name, address, city, state, these are called fields name. All these data, the numbers and the letters and words, are called record. All of this. Inside each record, we have cells, right? You notice here, for example, in member ID, we have 101242. This value in this cell is called a field value. You can use the pointer to move the insertion point to any field in the table by clicking in the desired field, or you can use the keys on the keyboard, and this summarizes all the keys that you can use on the keyboard to move around in the database. You can pause the video and take your time in reading them. Now let's talk about editing records. To make editing easier, use the record navigation bar. If you make a mistake, you can click the undo button on the quick access toolbar. The one I showed you earlier, do you remember this one? Field selector selects the column, record selector selects the row, Data sheet selector selects the entire data sheet. To delete a record, select the record and press delete. Deleting a record is permanent, so pay attention before using this one, and cannot be restored with the undo command. The cut, copy, and paste commands work the same way as in other Office programs. Let's talk about changing datasheet layout. To change row height, drag row border or input exact height. Column width, drag column border or choose best fit. Column order, drag field selector. To freeze columns, use freeze command on home tab. To change background row color, use alternate fill back color button on home tab. Reviewing and printing a table. Use print preview to check the print setting. Print data sheet by clicking the file tab, click print in the navigation bar, and then click quick print to print the data sheet using the default printer and the default print. Print to select a printer and adjust the print setting. Saving and closing objects. When you change data, Access saves your changes automatically. When you change format, you need to save your work by clicking the Save button on the Quick Access toolbar that I showed you earlier. You can close an object by clicking the Close button on the object window. Now we come to the hardest part in Microsoft Access, which is closing the database and exiting Access. Wow, I'm just kidding. Close the database by clicking the File tab on the ribbon and then clicking Close Database in the navigation bar, or you can just click X on the top right corner of the window, same as you close Word and PowerPoint, and that's it. Okay, now I'm going to teach you how to open Microsoft Access and do a simple record. To do so, click on the search bar over here and just type Access. Click on the application, Access application, to open it up. Here you're going to see the backstage view, as I told you before. This button is for creating blank desktop database. These are templates, default templates. I'm not going to use them right now. I'm just going to go for blank desktop database. I just click over here. It asks me to give a name for the database that I'm going to use and its location. So I'm going to just keep it as a default on my documents. Just create. Here, as you can see, we have the quick access toolbar. I'm going to just maximize it. Here we have the quick access toolbar that I talked about earlier with save, undo, redo. Here we have the navigation pane with the table, which is by default, it's over here. And here also the table number 1. And the data sheet, this one, the data sheet, as I told you, we have a field name like an ID. And here we have a field value. I can put a field value. Let me just add a new field name. I'm going to just click add short text. I'm going to go for, let's say, last name. I'm going to click another one, a short text. I'm going to add first name. I'm going to click on it another time. I'm going to add address. Double D. And here I'm going to just go for cell phone number. Okay, number. Last name, let's say Ghabris. First name is Hussein. Address, let's say Lebanon. Cell phone 22622, whatever. Now, watch carefully on the ID fields over here in the values. This one is called a primary key. It gives every name a unique key. For example, number 1, it won't be repeated on any cell over here. So if I type another name, watch over here what's going to happen. Let's say another Ghabris. Let's say now Ali. Did you see? It gives this one a new primary key, which is number 2. Here, let's see USA and just any random number. So it's so easy to work with this, but you have to be careful about the things that you are doing. So here you can see how many records do I have in this page. Now, if I want to go to create, here we can see the tables, group tables, here group queries, forms, reports. If I want to add a new table over here, I just click this one. This is table number 2. And if you notice here also, I'm going to see table number 2. About the queries, forms, reports, and so on, we're going to talk about them later on. I can save it now, or I just can close it from here, or just click the X button over there. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Thank you and see you soon.